4th down, the final play.
What is up?
They can stick it
Here
in
we
the
go.
end zone. Dorsey under pressure, throws it. Incomplete. The Buckeyes win.
Ezekiel Elliott, and he's got an opening. Elliott off to the races. Can they catch him?
Feature the two backs as receivers, and now a downfield shot on first down for the end zone. Touchdown, Ohio State strikes first. Making the judgments again, and there is Smith running free, breaks a tackle. Ohio State strikes quickly from 45 yards. Pressure comes. Sword, knock it out, and picks it up. Jack Sword, coming down the sidelines. Ohio State scoop and score and dagger from 82 yards.
Here they come.
Heavy pressure, Howard delivers downfield, and Smith, he's got it! Jeremiah Smith, the 2025 College Football National Champion, Coach Ryan Day, and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Welcome in, Buckeye backers. We are bringing it to you live from Seattle, Washington, to the cornfields of Enid, Ohio. We are the pulse of Buckeye fans across the nation, with Seattle Matt and Buckeye Steve. What is up, Buckeye backers? We are back for another impromptu show, and I got a host of friends, so here we go. There was just so much information. I had to get some of this out. We had to talk about it because so much is happening. So Wednesday night special, we got Dev. We're going to introduce you first. Tell us about your show, and then let's get into it.
Sounds good, man. I'm Devin over there, the host of the Buckeye Boys show, dude. I got to tell you, man, a little bit mad at you for making me watch that intro video because now I'm forced to get off here and go watch all those playoff games again.
Oh,
the 20th time, dude. I was at all of them. Memories I'll never forget in my life, dude. But I got pumped up watching your intro video, dude.
Hey, it never gets old. That Jack Sawyer run, that bomb, when you just when you thought, Notre Dame had a chance, you throw that bomb and, hey, secure a national title.
Yeah.
Let's do it. It feels good every time. But, hey, we can't even get in a pro day without a boom, man. Stole all the thunder. Bowen is just doing work, and that's something us as Buckeye fans, we're just not used to at all. This is new. Like, throwing out the offers, number one, is new. Like, going from 16 to God knows how many now, and then getting the guys to commit early. We have more than half of our offensive line class already secured, so those guys got to get on it. Tell me what you think about Bowen right now. Like, impressive.
Yeah, dude, an absolute breath of fresh air. I mean, I was pretty critical of Justin Fry and his recruiting last year, the offers, the communication with recruits. We talked to a bunch of recruits, so I really had an inside feel of what was going on last year in the recruiting. And I'll tell you that we still interview a lot of the offensive linemen that Ohio State's in on, and they love Coach Bowen, man. They said he is just really easy to talk to, easy going. You saw the energy from the Sam Greer commit video. Sam Greer drove there to bring his family there to tell them in person. I mean, granted, not that far of a drive, but that just goes to show you the types of relationships Coach Bowen is building with these recruits and how quickly he's doing it, dude. Like right off the rip, you get the two best offensive linemen in the state of Ohio. And then you go get a sneaky good Tucker Smith out of Arizona, who go watch his film, dude. I mean, he's easily, I don't pay much attention to rankings, but the dude is a 4-star offensive lineman. I mean, he's very, very good, but dude, the timing that he's doing all this stuff in, I'm excited for Buckeye Nation. And I'm just pumped for myself personally to just be able to watch this happen, because I've been literally praying for it. So it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, having that offensive line connection has been awesome. And I saw a post by J-Book, and he was like, when you got a guy wearing shit kickers in 114 degrees, you got an animal. You got a guy that's going to do work. And then going back to that video, holy hell. When you saw Bowen push around Sam Greer, not only does he have that stature, but dude still got it, man. He's still an offensive lineman.
I know he does. Yeah. It's good stuff, man. For sure. I'm excited, dude. I think we're going to run out of room, bro. I think for the first time in Ohio State, they're going to be turning away linemen that want to be in this class. And I know that's a bold statement to make, but I'm telling you, I think it's going to happen.
Hey, first of all, let's get to the locker room. We got a couple guys that are joining us. So Roger, go Bucks, man. Absolutely. OH. And then we got Billy Tuesday joining us again. Hello, gentlemen. Hello, Billy. All right. And Roger. All right. We're going back-to-back national champions this year. Ooh, I would love that. I think they have it. The biggest thing, they have everything you could see. I mean, you go into the Woody and you see the size of the freshmen coming in, ready to play. They are ready to play in the NFL. Bo Jackson, I can't get enough of just talking about how stacked he is, how ready he is to play. I want to see that. I've been hearing good things about when they really get things going in practice. Once all the media is kicked out, he's been showing off, man, and he's living up to that name. So they're going to have to change his number to 34.
Yeah, there we go.
We're ready. What do you guys got? What do you guys got on Tyler? Let's start with you, Josh.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're talking about Tyler Bowen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your initial impressions, just everything he's done so far.
Well, first of all, when he got hired, I thought it was a great hire. I thought it was a fantastic hire. I was kind of shocked by the negative, the negativity being shared on social media. But I think a lot of that, it's kind of like the Matt Patricia thing. They look at his most recent resume, his most recent job, and he was the offensive coordinator at Virginia Tech, and they were very underwhelming, right? Let's not jump around it. He was a bad offensive coordinator, but he's not going to be the offensive coordinator for Ohio State. You know what I mean? He's going to be the offensive line coach. His track record as far as being a positional coach is absolutely phenomenal. And we know that he's a great recruiter because he gets credited for recruiting Tyler Warren at Penn State, and some of these other guys, these former Penn State players are talking about him like he's this great recruiter. So we know that was going to be a good thing. I wasn't as harsh on Justin Fry as a lot of people. My issue with Justin Fry is that the guys, offensive line is a weird thing to recruit, right? Especially we heard from Carson Hinsman last year about the NIL situation and how offensive linemen kind of get put on the back burner. So it's really hard for me to kind of evaluate, like, okay, is this guy not gonna, is he failing as a recruiter, or is just the system failing him, right? You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's hard to compare. It's hard to compare his recruiting acumen to Brian Hartline when Brian Hartline's also getting all the NIL cash, right? The offensive line get put on the back burner. My problem with Justin Fry is that the development just wasn't there with some of these guys that were highly recruited, right? Now, with that said, the offensive line performance in the playoffs was absolutely great. Every player I talked to has nothing but great things to say about Justin Fry. But again, I think Tyler Bowen, I think he is an improvement. So I'm very excited about it, and that's coming from someone who liked Justin Fry. And I think he's putting together a great class. Now, we have to be 50-50 about this and look at both sides of it. Both the big studs, the offensive line studs, are from Ohio, right? And Justin Fry brought in Carter Lowe last year from Toledo. So it's like, he deserves a lot of credit, but at the same time, maybe Justin Fry would have pulled that off too. You know what I mean? Like, because Justin Fry got a lot of hate for David Sanders and missing on him. But David Sanders wasn't an Ohio guy, so it's kind of a different game.
Yeah, well, you know what? Hey, we got a Power 4 offensive coordinator to come coach our offensive line. That says a lot about Ohio State, baby. If you can get someone in and be like, yo, you're going to have to step down and coach the offensive line, says a lot about Ohio State. People want to be here. People want part of this championship. They want part of what Ryan Day's building, the culture that he's building. And I think Dev can speak on some of that too before we get to King Buckeye here and get his take, because you've been talking to some of these guys. You've been talking to some of their parents. You've been talking to everyone out there, it looks like. So tell us a little bit about what they're saying about the culture that Ryan Day has established.
Well, dude, it's one of the things on my show. I always say it's the one aspect of the recruiting that the fans don't really have a pulse on. You see offers not go out to players, and Ohio State not pushing towards certain players, and fans get frustrated. But there's another aspect to this thing. The coaches have the insight on who these kids are as people, how they were raised, what they really want out of, a commitment out of college. And that's the culture and the character. And I'm telling you right now, all the interviews we've done from everybody that is committed and that they're in on, there's a pattern going around. Extremely mature, all about their business. Not only that, but a great support group. And I specifically asked these recruits, I just got done 30 minutes ago talking to Aaron Thomas, offensive tackle, was just there. And I said, tell me about the feeling that you feel when you walk into the Woody. Is the brotherhood thing real? Is the culture thing real? And he said, it absolutely is. He said, before anybody says anything, you walk into a room and you feel it. And I said, what's that feeling? And he says, it feels like family. It feels like everybody loves to be there. That's the aspect of Ryan Day that I think Ohio State fans should be way more grateful about. And that's the culture that he is doing there, not only in the players that he's recruiting and the players on the field, but the coaches that he's hiring as well. They match that culture, man. It's real. It's not just a saying. The brotherhood sign, it's not just a saying, man. You got a lot of used car salesmen out there that want to say their program's this and that. No, it's real at Ohio State. I've talked to coaches in there. I've talked to players and recruits, and some of them aren't committed to Ohio State. They don't have a reason to lie. It's real. And I love that Ryan Day puts that before anything else. He doesn't care how good you are. He doesn't care your rankings. He doesn't care how bad you want to be at Ohio State. He doesn't care how bad we need you as a player. If you don't fit the culture, you're not coming there. And part of that culture is the faith, man, that players have in Jesus and that aspect of it. I love it, man. And these recruits I interviewed, they share that faith, man. They share it, dude. So it's really exciting and really cool. And one of those things where it's like, is it true? Is it really true? I'm telling you, it is. It's true. It's the real deal.
It's not fake. It's not him trying to sell something. It's him trying to build a program and him trying to instill his values in his young players. And you see that a little bit with Matt Patricia too. What I've seen from him in his interviews, he's excited, he's energetic, he's ready to be there, and he wants to coach people. And he mentioned that was Monday, I believe. Yeah, Monday when he had his press conference, he talked about his parents were teachers, and he wants to mentor young kids. And that's the difference between the NFL and college. He wants to be there and show them the way. And if they want to know how to get to the NFL, he could show them that from experience. But if they want to know just, how to be a better person, he also wants to be there for them for that. And I just thought that was a really cool take because it's built and ingrained in Matt Patricia to be a leader of young men. Yeah, because his parents were teachers. And that's really cool. And that's something that not a lot of people have probably got to know about Matt Patricia. And he's taken a step back and been humbled. We're going to switch gears a little bit and get back to the locker room because, Dev, you got a fan here, man.
Yo, what up, Tyler?
Yeah, he's in here. He thinks Aaron Thomas is going to be a Buckeye.
Okay, I like it. There's a lot of those right now. There's a lot of
better pull the trigger quick if you want to be.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be room in the house, right?
Yeah. I did want to hit on one more thing in the offensive line because I do got to get off here. But when you're done with this, I'll dive in. Or you may do it now?
Go ahead, do it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. What Ryan Day's doing, you see Tyler Bowen recruiting, but Ryan Day has clearly emphasized a position group on this team this year, and it is the offensive line. I mean, he's got 3 offensive line coaches. Charlie Dickey, offensive line coach from Oklahoma State. Who's the other one? Mark Johnson, offensive line coach at Purdue. Wendy Larrant, offensive lineman in the NFL. Just hired another offensive lineman that used to play in the NFL. So, it's very obvious that Ryan Day is really focused on a certain position group this year, and I absolutely love it, man. That's the other aspect I wanted to hit on is not only the recruiting's upticked, but the question about Bowen was, can you develop? You haven't been an offensive line coach in forever. What does Ryan Day do? Goes out and hires 2 offensive line coaches to help with that question that we all had. So
it's just fitting together like a puzzle because you're allowed to have those extra coaches in there now. All the guys that used to just be, in the background, you're allowed to be on the field coaching the guys now, which is awesome. It's really helped a lot. So let's get this quick question and then we'll get you out of here. Quick question. Do you all remember Andrew White? He played under Coach Cooper. I met him last year in Corpus Christi when I was Christmas shopping, had a great conversation about the Buckeyes. I do not remember Andrew White. That's something I'm going to have to look up.
Sorry, brother. I don't remember that name either. I did have a question about the offensive line. Your Dev, on your thoughts about the offensive line coach, because you mentioned, I mean, if you got time, obviously I understand if you don't.
Yeah,
but
I do.
You mentioned, Ryan Day emphasizing the offensive line and hiring those assistant coaches. I viewed that kind of as hey, Brian Hartline is a new offensive coordinator, so he went out of his way to hire somebody with offensive coordinator experience in Tyler Bowen, even though, again, I understand it was unsuccessful. Still experienced, still counts, still at a Power 5 level, and it wasn't a complete failure. Kyron Jones was in the Heisman conversation for a bit. But anyways, and then because he thought that Tyler Bowen would have to kind of split up his time between helping out Brian Hartline and being the offensive line coach. That's why he went out and got those 2 offensive line assistants for kind of like, okay, hey, I guess I envision Tyler Bowen as more like assistant general manager to the offensive line or to the offensive coordinator, if that makes sense.
Run game coordinator.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's what his title is. He's the run game coordinator. And you're 100% right. 2 things can be true at the same time, right? Yeah. And that's definitely an aspect of this hire. I mean, dude, Tyler Bowen at Virginia Tech, I was trying to look up the yards per carry for the rushing attack of Virginia Tech last year. I think they outdid Ohio State in yards per carry last year. So for run game coordinator, I love that. And you're right for sure, man. Because Brian Hartline is a new offensive coordinator, Ryan Day, you got to bring somebody in with that. And I picture Tyler Bowen being the recruiter of the offensive line and the run game coordinator with Charlie Dickey and Marcus Johnson, really kind of operating the offensive line in practices and just helping with that. But you hit the nail on the head. He for sure he's bringing, dude, we got 5 offensive line coaches. Yeah. And 3 of them used to play in the NFL. So there's a lot of help there. Why? Because Tyler Bowen will be big time helping Brian Hartline. So you're definitely right, Josh.
And just think of this. There was a pro day today with 17 guys there. And we're talking about the offensive line right now. Yeah. It never in my world would I have ever thought that was not on my bingo card today.
Nope. Mine neither, dude.
Right. Dev, well, if you need to get off here, I know you've been a busy man, like talking to every recruit and their parents. So keep up the good work, man.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate you guys having me so much, dude. Keep me in the loop, man. I'll hop on anytime that I can, dude. As you can see, I'm very passionate about the Buckeyes, and I'd love to get and meet you guys more, get you guys on our show sometime, have a conversation. So appreciate you guys. Go Buckeyes.
Anytime.
Bucks.
Yep.
Go Bucks. All right. King Buckeye, we haven't heard from you yet, so let's get in it. What do you think about Bowen, man? Your first initial thoughts. I know you're in the hotel right now, so hopefully we get great reception for you.
Can you hear me okay?
We hear you great.
Perfect. So admittedly, I had to look up Tyler Bowen when we hired him because I wasn't.
Oh yeah. We all did.
Yeah. Then I saw where he's been, and I'm like, okay, maybe he's got something to him. Saw that he was a pretty good recruiter where he's been before, and this month alone, I mean, goodness, Justin Fry, we're starting to kill it on the recruiting trail in the trenches. I know Wolverine fans are shaking in their boots seeing that all of a sudden.
Absolutely.
So, and I mean, that's the whole entire goal. That's been the one of the 2 areas where we've gotten, we've lost those games in the last 4 years outside of the cheating, but you know how I feel about that. But I once I looked him up, I'm like, okay, I'll stay level headed about it. We'll see what he can do. And he's already blowing me out of the water. And just the guys that he's got, I know a couple of the guys he's gotten so far from Ohio, but really we had lost an emphasis on that for a while. It felt like, and when you get those Ohio guys in here, especially on such a position like the offensive line, which is the building bricks for the entire offense, that's a huge thing because those are the kids that grew up not just loving Ohio State, but loving the rivalry, loving everything about what the Buckeyes are. And it's super important to get kids like that in this program. Obviously, you love getting the kids from other states that are 5 stars. Like I know we're going after that Jackson Cantwell, who's also a lineman, and hopefully he doesn't end up going up north. But getting those guys, especially on offensive line from Ohio, is so huge. And it seems like the emphasis is there already from Bowen. And just the fact that he seems to understand that you have to cast a super wide net, where that seemed like that's where Fry kind of fell off.
Yeah.
And like he said, I was a big Fry defender at first too, because I felt like Studrawa kind of left the cupboards a little bit bare for him outside of obviously, Paris Johnson and DeJuan Jones. But once he was here for 2 to 3 years and the recruiting didn't seem to change any, it was like, well, clearly his approach there is off. People question development, but obviously he proved tenfold he can do that.
What Fry did well was development and transfer portal. He got some great dudes out of the transfer portal. And, before he left, I think he kind of got these other two, right? Yeah. Big E is a monster, and he's going to be huge, and he's already pretty much been told that he's going to be the starting left tackle. Right, Ryan Days. Yeah, we're going to start him off at left tackle. Dude's huge. We just want him to bend a little bit more in the knees. The problem was he just didn't put out offers. Fry was against putting out offers. He wanted to concentrate on that small net. And I just don't think recruiting was for him. Like if he could concentrate on a small group of guys, he was good. But you have to make relationships with tons of dudes.
It doesn't surprise me he ended up in the NFL at all. Yeah, the majority of
that's where he needed to be.
Yeah.
And you'd mentioned the Ohio guys, and I'm right there with you, man. Maxwell Riley, he is that type of guy that can play anywhere on the offensive line. Versatility is the name of the game. 6'5", 280 pounds, 4-star, the number 2 recruit in the state of Ohio. So we needed him. We got him. And then we lost a guy to Guthrie. We lost him to Clemson. He was kind of that project type guy. But then you go ahead and pull Sam Greer, and we talked about it earlier in that video, him coming up to Tyler Bowen and telling him, hey, man, I'm here. I committed today. And Tyler Bowen just almost pushing him into the sleds on the side of the wall in the Woody. It was great. That's what college football is all about. What a family is all about. That's what the culture is all about. And let me get through this real quick. He's 6'6.5", it says here, 310 pounds for Sam Greer. He needs to put on a little bit of muscle, but I think he will. He's a Division I tackle, and he's going to be a number 1 draft pick. Once Ohio State gets through with him, if you've seen this guy play basketball, I saw him in the state title game as a freshman, and I was like, dude is going to be a number 1 draft pick. I could tell it just by the way his feet moved and how big he was.
Yeah, it all depends on that development. And a little off topic, but when it comes to that video that they made of Sam Greer committing, doesn't Ryan Day just look looser?
Oh, yeah. He said it in his press conference. Did you see that? When they asked him if he's relaxed, and he's like, oh, yeah. Do you think?
Like Steve,
let's be real here.
After walking out of the shoe on November 30th, I was done. I was like, I can't defend this guy anymore. Then he goes on this run in the playoffs, wins a natty. And, the only thing you can hope is he takes all of what he's learned in the past few months and, the 3 years prior, and he takes this natty and just coaches loose and to win from now on. Because if he does, all of a sudden that career is going to flip in the positive direction. Like it already started.
It did.
And
it did. He's the new boss, man. He got that proverbial monkey off his back, and it had to have been one of two things. It had to be a long run of beating Michigan or a national title, and the national title did it. So the pressure's really off. I mean, pressure's never off at Ohio State. Let's be real. It's Ohio State. You're expected to win every single game. You're expected to get every single recruit. We don't want to lose one recruit. We don't want to lose one game. We want national titles every year. But that's the measuring stick now. The Michigan game has been dumbed down a little bit because you can lose it and still win a national title. That was never the case before. Now it is. I don't like to say it because I've said it before. It's in my blood. I still want to beat Michigan. It's still meaningful. It's just not as meaningful as it used to be.
I feel like if he can go up to Ann Arbor this year and get it done, the domino start to fall.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see
Absolutely.
go on a Tressel Urban type win streak because
and all it takes is one of those 3 quarterbacks to pan out.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we had a comment from the locker room, and let's see, let's put this back up here. Roger Sowers. He was like, who will be the quarterback this year? I hope it will be Tavion St. Clair. It's definitely not going to be Tavion St. Clair. He is from the same football conference I played in high school. So that's telling you a lot. It's not the best conference in Ohio. It's not even close. It's probably one of the smaller ones. He did go to camps and stuff and showed off, and he's talented. He just needs a little bit of time with these bigger bodies, these faster, almost men out there playing, almost NFL players. So I think with the development, he's going to be just fine. He just needs a year or two, and he's the heir apparent to the throne, like I said before.
Yes, TSC is going to be special, but you'd have to be insanely special to come to Ohio State and start year one, like Braxton Miller.
Well, it's like Terrell Pryor too. I think he's more like Terrell Pryor coming from, and someone mentioned it earlier, Jeanette, Pennsylvania is not that big a place either. It was not like a huge powerhouse in Pennsylvania. And he got in there, but he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
It was just because he was forced in there. His athleticism forced him in, and they didn't have a room like they do today.
Same with Braxton.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
At the end, those 2 moves proved critical for Ohio State football. So
too, Beckman, I mean, heading in, Beckman just came out. I think that Terrell Pryor, it was a little different too, because he had to beat out Todd Beckman, who just took Ohio State to the national championship. So, I mean,
and lost to LSU.
Yeah, so it's not like Beckman was horrible. Braxton kind of walked into it, and they gave him the keys because there was nothing else there. But Pryor did have to beat out somebody who was, as competent as, I don't know, that the quarterback.
Once
the
UNC game happened, Tressel was like, yeah, okay, we got to go to the UNC.
Yeah. Well, they put him in at the end of the USC game. I mean, I think
Tressel learned his lesson from 2004 when it was Vick and Smith. He was like, I can't do this again. I can't make that mistake. I
need an athletic quarterback.
Yeah.
Sure. And at that time, athletic quarterbacks were the name of the game.
Yeah. And speaking to Julian saying real quick, you get at least Steve knows I'm a Packers fan. I don't make this comparison often, but the way Julian saying throws the ball is an awful lot like Aaron Rodgers, and that excites me.
He has an angle and a zip, and he's able to get it in these windows where you don't even see the ball coming. And it just floats over the offensive line, and it is a thing of beauty. Yeah. And that's why he probably will be the starter. I'm rooting for Keenholz though, because I really like to see Keenholz do something special. Just coming from South Dakota and being that guy that's been a three sport star. I mean, if you look him up for anything, baseball, basketball, football, he was a stud, and just hanging in there, paying his due time. So like Bo Pugula, we want him to have a package like that, even if it doesn't pan out that he's the starter.
Probably do like a Devin Brown type of deal with him for sure.
Yeah, and I think he needs a lot. If he sticks around, you got to give him that credit where he has, a couple possessions here and there to do his thing.
Well, I think
the last time I saw a quarterback throw a ball like that in college was Aaron Rodgers at Cal, so I'm very excited for him.
Yeah, but Billy Fessler did talk about how he's a rotational thrower, and just because he gets it out quick doesn't mean he's got good arm strength. So that's something that they got to work on. And I was surprised he just offered that up. It was awesome to hear him say that.
Yeah, that's one of the best things that could happen to this team is Fessler.
Doug bringing the goods. I hope he throws like Rodgers, but stays away from the conspiracy theories. Yeah.
Hey, if he ends up winning national titles, he can have all the conspiracy theories he wants.
I like to stay away from conspiracy theories. I mean, they're fun to talk about, but not to the media,
Well, and if Sayan does win a national championship, I mean, you got to look at the last 3 quarterbacks that we've had that have won one. They've all been above average at best. So, I mean, Sayan would be in pretty rare air in Ohio State history, being a guy who was so highly recruited and that talented to take us to the promised land when usually we don't have a quarterback like that does that. So
for sure. Well, let's see. Let's get into the commercial because I got to do it, or else I will forget to play Dano's, and Dano's will be really mad because Dano's has got some good seasoning. It is. I mean, they have a perfect commercial too. Yum yum, get you some. Here we go.
Seasoning, food's favorite flavor.
Yum, yum, get you some.
I'm Joe Burrito, your favorite burrito. Whoa, whoa.
Joe,
Hey.
we all know you're the best.
What?
You can always do better.
What you got?
Try the new Dano's Hot Chipotle.
Hey. Ooh, that's spicy. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, get you some.
Yum, get you some. We got a little bit smaller after that commercial because we're going to try to throw this in here. I guess we can't get us in with that overlay on top, but if you scoot over a little bit, you might be able to get in the picture. Anyway, 40 times, man. Jordan Hancock had himself a day, right? 4.42 in the 40. Emeka Buka, 4.45. Also had him a hell of a day. What did you think about some of the 40 times, and were you paying attention to it today?
Nothing there surprises me really. I mean, maybe Josh Fryer moving decently quick, I guess, for his that's kind of surprising. But Emeka running a 4.4, not shocking. Hancock, I mean, all of it looks pretty normal to me. I think all of them did, especially Fryer. I think they all did a pretty good job at selling themselves today.
For sure. I mean, 4.4s, when you're getting the 4.4s and 4.5s for linebackers or 4.6 for Gee Scott is still pretty darn good for a tight end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hope that gets him taken. And we had 17 guys there. 15 were invited to the combine. Do you think that Fryer or Scott can get drafted?
Ooh, goodness. I mean, both would be day 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think Scott would have a better shot than Fryer, simply because of if you watch Fryer's tape a lot of the time, how stiff he can be, and at times he did improve a lot. Obviously, last year, if Fryer got drafted, I'd be surprised. If Gee Scott got drafted, I wouldn't be. But obviously, I hope they all get drafted because that looks better for us.
Absolutely. We could break the record if just one of them gets drafted. 15 is the record held by Georgia in 2022. So if we can, and previously it was Ohio State at 14. So if we can get that, we get that record back, and that would be awesome to get to 16. Hopefully we get to 17 and Fryer gets it. But Gee Scott is someone I really want to see get drafted. Just the amount of work he put in, what he came in like, how, instrumental he was to the team to be that, second or third tight end even at times. And dude was just all about business. And I think that he'll keep working and be even a better tight end in the league than he was in college. Because sometimes that happens. Guys blossom a little late, switch positions like he did, and you never know what could happen.
Yeah, he needed that year last year that he had, especially later on, to get where he was.
Yeah, Fryer played on a bad ankle. So you think Fryer would be the one to get the chance?
He did, but
I'm afraid that they're both going to get free agency. But, even free agency, you make it to the NFL.
Yeah.
Let's go. You're there, man. You just got to prove it. If you get picked up, just go out there, hit that practice team up and make your place. Most of the nation wishes they had that opportunity. So go make the best of it. And I'm sure they will.
Fall past the 4th round anyway, you're better off being undrafted. You'll end up making more money.
Bench press was. Go ahead.
I think I'm definitely Team Doug on this one. I would go with Josh Fryer too. You're talking about a multi-year start. I mean, when's the last time someone who started multiple years on the offensive line for Ohio State didn't get a shot? I don't think either one gets drafted, but I think Josh Fryer is more likely, and I think Josh Fryer is probably better suited to actually make it. When you look at Gee Scott, Gee Scott it felt like every year they were trying to replace him. He had a really good playoff run. I'm not going to take that away from him. But other than that, I mean, there was points even this year where we were kind of staring at him and being like, dude, that guy's a liability. So especially with this deep tight end draft, I mean, you got guys like Luke Lachey that are going to be drafted in the day 2. And Luke Lachey, that guy was almost an All-American if it wasn't for injury. So I don't know where he fits. Josh Fryer, if he gets a camp invite, maybe he provides some late depth, some bottom of the barrel depth at guard, tackle. G. Scott, I mean, what is he? He can't block. I mean, he barely blocked in the Big Ten. He's not going to be able to block in the NFL. And he's not a good enough receiver to be kind of that tweener that you see, like a Harrison Bryant from Florida Atlantic that one year that got drafted by late from the Browns. He's nowhere near that good. That guy barely made the roster. So that's kind of where my money would be. I'm with Doug on that one, but I guess we'll see. I'm rooting for both of them, obviously.
Yeah, and Doug says the pros would split Gee out a little bit more, G. Scott, and then the Buckeyes could make an impact for the right team, and I do believe that he could. It was a little tough, man. So I'm rooting for him. We're all rooting for him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he became a better blocker this year. So
towards the end, for sure.
Let's get to that bench press. Ty Hamilton, 35 reps. Josh Simmons, I think he actually had 34, but I got 33 down there. Donovan Jackson, 33. Gee Scott had, I keep saying Gee. G. Scott had 25. Quinshon Judkins, 24. JT Tuimoloau, 24. Cody Simon, 21. Jack Sawyer, 21, which is a little underwhelming for Jack Sawyer. We wanted to see a little bit more out of the strength of that, but I mean, put on the tape. Just put on the tape. Jordan Hancock, 34, and Lathan Ransom, 20. So, I mean, pretty good. Pretty good. It could be better in some of those cases, but the only thing I think that was unexpected, at least in my opinion, is Jack Sawyer's getting 21.
Yeah, that's a pretty big fall off from Ty Hamilton to Jack Sawyer. That would probably be one of the only red flags there for me, for sure. But, gosh, if Ty Hamilton doesn't have a long, prosperous career, and Tyleik Williams too, if those two don't have a long, prosperous career in the league, something's wrong.
That's what we forgot to mention. Did you see Tyleik Williams, his 40 time?
Yeah, 4.9. Not shocking.
No, Tyleik fell. Tyleik Williams fell during, not Ty Hamilton. Tyleik Williams fell, hurt himself during the 40 and had to be helped off. So I'm hoping that he's all right, because that was one I was hoping that gets bumped up into the first round. So, man, I just feel bad for the kid. It's like, and I talked about that in previous podcasts. I was like, what happens if you get hurt before the pro day? You skip out on getting measured at the combine. You don't run your 40 at the combine. And then you're hoping to show everyone at the pro day. What if you get sick? What if you get the flu? What if you just feel like hell and can't do it?
Well, if you remember, Billy Price, when he was going into the draft, I believe he tore his pectoral during the comebacks.
Yeah,
and he still got drafted first round. So it's still possible that you'll go where you're supposed to go, and obviously, just if a team needs you and if they feel like it's worth the risk to still take you there, even though you're injured. So. It's not a complete kill shot to your career, but obviously we've seen it go the other way too, where you fall and fall and fall way farther than you ever thought you would. So
just those non-impact injuries like that, where something happens, it makes me feel like something snapped, and
I hope
not good right at this point. I certainly hope not. We're praying not, and I hope it's great. There were reports that he was walking around well afterwards, so hopefully that is the case. And man, I feel bad for him. And I kind of wish I would have gone to the pro day now. Man, seeing all this stuff, I was like, I should have gone. I didn't. I chose not to. My kids are on spring break, and just didn't work out.
Make your way in.
Yeah.
I know I will.
The Student Appreciation Day?
Yeah, it's coming up on April 5th.
Yeah. So next weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to sneak my way in there per usual, but don't tell anybody.
You just told everyone. I don't know how many people are listening, but you told them all. All right, the vertical. Let's get into the vertical. Jordan Hancock. Woo. 41.5-inch vertical. Emeka Egbuka, 38. We got some athletes out there, man. Lathan ran some 36.5. Cody still got his 40 on this vertical one for some reason, so I don't remember what his was. G. Scott, 35. Ty Hamilton, not bad for a big boy.
Yeah.
32-inch vertical. Josh Pryor, 34 for a big boy, so that's athletic. Donovan Jackson, 32.5, and TJ Tuimoloau, 35.5. So I have to look at what Cody's was, but I do not know. So
Jordan Hancock's got to be like at this point round 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, he just made him some money for sure. And Emeka Egbuka's going round 1. I don't think anyone's going to wait.
Yeah, I think
round 1, but someone's taking them.
I think about 2 of them go round 1, probably. I would imagine. Hopefully more.
Yeah.
But.
I mean, I think that Josh Simmons is a lock, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
He's a lock.
I really think if I had to put, I think Emeka Egbuka is probably going to go in the first round. I don't know if he's as good as first round receivers that we've seen in the past. I just don't know how strong the receiver class is because T-Mac didn't run. To me, Emeka Egbuka's testing was disappointing. Is it enough to lower his stock? No. But I thought he was going to be a little bit smoother, a little bit faster, a little bit more athletic. But T-Mac from Arizona didn't have a very good pro day either. I think he ran in the 4.5s. Luther Burden, he didn't test well at the combine. And then the other first-round wide receivers are Isaiah Bond and Matthew Golden, who dealt with injuries their entire career at Texas. So why would Emeka Egbuka? Emeka Egbuka is probably the safest pick out of all of them because he's been very consistent.
Well, perfect timing. Because Doug Shepard said the same thing.
Doug and I are on the same page. I think that Donovan Jackson's going to probably sneak in the first round too. I don't know why he's not getting more love. This is a guy this is a guy they moved to left tackle. Arguably, the entire second half of the college football season, he was the best off the tackle in all of college football. Right?
I honestly think it's just because he projects as a guard, so he has that extra versatility by being able to kick out.
Yeah, it's which would theoretically make you a first rounder. I mean, in my opinion, the only guy he struggled against was Abdul Carter, and he didn't get dominated. Abdul Carter's going to be a top 3 pick, so I'm a little shocked by that.
I think we're going to get a lot of early second rounders. And when the third round comes, there's going to be Buckeyes going off the board left and right.
Yeah, the Jordan Hancock thing, I think he's the one that had the best day. What that does to his stock, I don't know, because I think that there's always going to be questions around like, hey, this guy wasn't one of the top 2, right? So it's like there has to, if you're an NFL GM, there has to be some hesitation to be like, all right, why wasn't this guy starting over Igbinosun who had 16 pass interference calls? Do you know what I mean? Like there just has to be some kind of hesitation there because there's a lot of guys that were the number 1 cornerback and we're locking up guys. So I just don't know where he lands. I don't know how much this helps him, if that makes sense.
Unfortunately, when it comes to like the draft, we tend to realize how many people who are making the decisions don't watch film, and that's a big part of the problem. If they were watching the film, they would realize how important Jordan Hancock's role was in our defense the entire season, and how important it was that we had him specifically in that spot. So. You just hope that there's enough people in the room who have watched the film who can say something like that. And if there is, I think he's got a great shot to go round 2 at the highest, round 3 at the lowest. But there's always that opportunity to fall, just depending on who's there and what teams need. So you just pray for the best at that point.
And people are going to take a shot on some Buckeyes, because of the past. They've been able to prove it, and they're the most NFL-ready team in college football. You can just see it, and their character. This character and this culture that Ryan Day has built, you can't speak enough about it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's just amazing that they go out and get high character guy after high character guy after high character guy. When down in Georgia, they're running a racetrack, man. They've had as many guys get arrested for.
Yeah.
Did you see that tweet?
25 why arrest, 24 wins in like the last few.
In the same amount of time. Insane.
Wild.
Absolutely insane.
You want to talk about lack of institutional control?
Yeah. Something's
outside of the case we know about.
When do you draw the line as a coach? I'm like, listen, this cannot happen anymore. Like,
dude,
someone died in one of those, right?
Yeah. There's no going back, man. Especially with NIL, all these kids got Ferraris and Lambos. They were having issues back when they were driving Civics.
Yeah. No longer do you have hedges. You just have drag strips on both sides of the football field. That's it.
Might as well.
All right, we got to get into the elephant in the room now. And, oh, man, did he have a day. Will Howard completing 65 of 67, and 2 of those were drops. 65 of 67. And I know it's going against air, but that is impressive, man. So all these NFL guys where there were 140 plus, if you're, GM, scouts, coaches even. Speaking of that, the coaches that didn't make it were the 2 in-state coaches. The Bengals and the Browns coaches decided, we're just not going to go.
Interesting.
But guess what? Their their in-division rival, he was there. Steelers coach was there.
Yeah.
And making his rounds, man. I don't know. I just don't know why the Ohio teams hate drafting Bengals.
I mean, they could come there anytime, I guess.
Maybe.
But Steve, I was told by a certain group of fans who had a conveniently small cut up clips of Will Howard from the combine that he wasn't good, and he had the worst combine outing of all time.
Mm-hmm. You get those low lights of 3 bad throws.
Yeah,
you can make anyone look bad.
Those 3 bad throws were his entire combine performance, and I was told he won't even get drafted. Oh, geez. Well,
was that 65 of 67?
That's nuts. It does. I will say, and I've been a Shadur Sanders critic, but I did like how he stood up for Will Howard. He said,
"Yeah, he did.
He's not used to throwing to other guys that aren't his guys. Like, and obviously you'll get acclimated in the NFL to other guys, but like when you're just doing it for that one day, what do you expect? Like, not every quarterback's going to look super great. Most of them are going to look above average because they're throwing to guys who they don't have the chemistry with. You build that chemistry. You're not
when they're going to make their cuts, and how they're going to run their routes, and how fast they are. I mean, timing is everything in college football and in the NFL. It's even more so.
Yeah.
So knowing where a guy's going to be at, where he's going to break, and how fast he is, it makes all the difference in the world. You're absolutely right.
Whoever takes Will Howard, it's going to take him some practices to build chemistry with the guys he's going to be playing with.
Yeah. And let's go back to it. The film. Go back to the film. Watch that. I was talking with TJ Chapman on our last podcast last week, and he was talking about, he didn't look that great in the national title game. And then it dawned on me afterwards. He was 13 of 13 to start the game. They just, took the foot off the gas. Well, he didn't have like great stats at the end of it. If you read the, the box stats at the end, I think he had like 231 yards or something.
Well, once again,
2 touchdowns.
We went multiple quarters without getting Jeremiah Smith the ball either, which that can't continue to happen.
Yeah. 15 targets a game. I'm going to count it all season. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah. He needs to get the ball every quarter at least 2 times.
Josh, let's take a pause and tell us about your podcast, man.
Yeah, man, I'm the host of the Ohio State of Mind podcast. We record every Monday at 9 o'clock. We go live on Facebook, X. We usually upload to Spotify the next day. You can catch us on YouTube. Last week we had, this week we did a national, we draft our defense. We've been doing a national championship draft. So the last 3 national championships, we draft who we like. So, like, for instance, I drafted my defense defender Will Smith and Joey Bosa, and my co-host had you think he drafted Caleb Downs and Mike Doss immediately. The week before that, we actually had Jeff Risden, who is the lead writer, managing editor for Detroit, for the Lions Wire, as well as Draft Wire. So we had a show where we talked about Will Howard and how it was going to affect his draft stock for about 30 minutes, as well as the Matt Patricia news. And he did not have a lot of glowing things to say about either. Actually.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So
why would he?
Yeah, I'm sure. But
yes. But very, very smart guy. Known him for a long time. So if he says it, I gotta, But the Matt Patricia thing's an interesting conversation because if you talk to people that covered him with the Patriots, they love him. If you talk to people that cover him with the Lions, they hate him. And then we've just covering Buckeye news, man. Just trying to grind it out. And you're coming on the show this Monday, so very excited for that.
Absolutely. That should be great. I can't wait for it. I love joining other shows. I love to see what other people are putting out there. And Josh, I met you on the field.
That's right.
That was kind of cool.
That's right. Yeah. Very, very cool. Very good time. Yeah, we've had NFL agents on, NIL agents on, former players. We had Julian Goins-Jackson on. So we try to diversify our guests a little bit. We're very excited to have you.
All right, awesome. It's going to be fun. I cannot wait. The more Buckeye football we can talk, the better it is. Life is good talking Buckeyes because you know what? We're in the national champ, so it's a lot easier to talk about it this year around.
That's right.
Let's get into that. Do you guys talk about the alleged Weiss investigation? What's going on there? I know King Buckeye's got some news on that. He loves to talk about this. Loves to talk about the Science Steelers.
When Ohio State law, we have quite a few Michigan listeners. We were pounding the Michigan thing pretty heavy there, but the NCAA was kind of dragging their foot and their feet, so we kind of stopped talking about it for a bit. It's hard to talk about. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to talk about Michigan because Ohio State just keeps losing to them. So it's like, man, it's hard to sound objective when you have this like jealousy kind of in your chest. I know when I speak on Michigan, I still got a tear that rolls down my eye. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're national champs. You still lost. It still hurts. So we didn't dive into the Weiss thing. We all kind of saw it. The weird thing about there should be a 30 for 30 on that coaching staff though, because Harbaugh was not the most squeaky clean dude. We know that, right? There's more than just Burger Gate. People don't really know how the NCAA works. The NCAA, they know they don't have any power. So if you break the rules, you fill out a report, you move on. Ohio State breaks the rules all the time, but it's usually like, we gave a recruit a bagel, and then you move on. Yeah. And Michigan, when Harbaugh didn't concede, you kind of knew, something sketchy is going on, right? And Harbaugh also bitched all the time about the Ohio State coaching staff. You remember him complaining about Al Washington during COVID, and he complained all the time. It was just kind of
from my vantage point, he was this far away.
Yeah. He was just kind of a whiner. And then you had Connor Stallions, who is a complete psycho, who had his Unabomber manifesto about how to take over the program, right? And he was sign stealing. He was cheating. Yeah, you could tell me that all schools do it. All schools don't have a computer program to help them cheat. Then you got remember too, they had the guy, he was a GA at the time, was picking up minors at Meyer or wherever it was. Yeah. That was a part of that staff that no one really seems to talk about. Harbaugh had to hire that guy. Was hired by Michigan football. And now you got the Weiss thing, who also did something sexually disgusting as well. So I don't know why people don't talk about how horrible that coaching staff. There's definitely a cloud of misery over everything.
Was it 150,000 students that he got information from?
It was something ridiculous like that. Yeah.
That is a lot of students. And to think that if you're getting cloud data from people, at how far away that jump is to allegedly, go and get some practice film or go get a medical report from someone on a team like Michigan State or Ohio State. That's not that far of a separation to think, that seems real possible right now.
Yeah, well, and then remember too, it was at the Central Michigan quarterback coach got fired. I mean, people around the situation were getting fired, and then the Weiss thing too. This is just coming out now, but we were all here. We all follow Michigan news when we knew when the whole Connor Stallions thing was happening. They took that. That's when they took his computer. That's when they took Weiss's guy his computer. We knew, and then he just randomly stopped coaching at Michigan. We knew something sketchy was going on, but no one really talked about it. No one really dove into it. And now we're finding out a couple of years later. It's just kind of like, dude, just gross.
Well, that's the thing. All these dominoes are starting to fall, and all these Michigan, followers are like, no, that's not going to happen. And it started with Connor Stallions, like you said. Oh yeah, everything's going to be fine. We'll fight it till the end. Everything will be fine. Well, Connor Stallions leaves. He's gone off the staff. Then Hardball's not going to get suspended. He's not going to get suspended. We're going to fight this. We're going to get a lawyer. Next thing you know, at Penn State, not there. You know, it just keeps going one domino after another. Oh, Weiss, it doesn't have anything to do with football. Well, that's the other domino that's going to fall, and it's going to fall soon.
And it's still bad. I don't know people
Mm-hmm.
that say it. It's like it's not the Joe Paterno thing, but it's similar to where like, well, it doesn't really have anything to do with the football program. Dude, it's still really, what he did is still really bad. And
Yeah.
he's inside your building. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could justify it
Mm-hmm.
however you want, but it's still a gross.
Well, and it's completely illegal to steal everyone's passwords.
Yes.
And it just depends on how much further it goes, allegedly.
Allegedly. I guess we should
allegedly.
say allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly.
I'm not using the word allegedly. No.
You just did.
You know how passionate I am about this topic.
Absolutely.
I talk
Speak to me, King Buckeye.
Fans on the daily, and I've for a long time there's only a handful of Wolverines I know that I would call good people, and boy, you're seeing the disgustingness from that fan base right now with how trying to justify and kind of put a Band-Aid on this Weiss thing. And you can't sit here and tell me, if you use common sense correctly, that he didn't hack for practice footage. That was already a rumor before. And there's a lot of evidence that points to that thing, especially with the Connor Stallions.
Allegedly, yeah.
Whole database where all the coaches apparently, allegedly, had access to this database. You can't tell me he didn't hack 150,000 student athletes or whatever worth of medical records and whatever else, and didn't use his hacking abilities to help the football.
The question is why? The question would be why. Why wouldn't you? If you were already doing that for other nefarious reasons, why wouldn't you do it to help your career? Why wouldn't you do it to help the people that you work with every day?
You can't tell me Stallions and
it just doesn't make, like you said, any common sense. 2 and 2 are adding up to equal 5 right now.
Exactly. And that, people, especially Wolverine fans, are still of the mindset Harbaugh had no clue. Really?
Even if he had no clue, let's say he didn't have any clue. Does it matter that in my eyes, him not having a clue, let's say he didn't know, that's worse, because these dudes that you hired, that you work for, were cheating, right? I mean, if I go to
it's no different than what happened to Urban Meyer.
Exactly. It's no different.
He was in charge and he got the fall, whether he knew about whatever Zach Smith was doing allegedly or not. Who knows what he was doing? Why are you supposed to know? Like, if someone I work with is stealing someone's passwords, I'm not going to know that. Why is that? Why would that be on me? What if I was a supervisor for someone? Why is that on me? Why is that my fault? If they're in their own home stealing stuff, I don't know. And I don't blame that on Harbaugh, but you're the fall man. You're the head dude in charge.
Well, and find me another. I mean, we see Connor Stallions next to Harbaugh in a lot of tape, in a lot of games, in a lot of,
and even after the national title game.
Yeah, you show me another GA. You show me another GA in the entire country that's next to their head coach as often as he was. It just doesn't make any sense.
I was going a different route. Like, he's still like part of the program. They brought him in after the national title game, and he was in the locker room taking pictures.
He got a hat immediately in Columbus, on purpose. He was at those games. Just because he was in the stands doesn't mean that they aren't still using his methods, I'm sure.
He's probably using his tickets.
And I will say this. It doesn't matter if Harbaugh knew, but it does. It doesn't for obviously the reason you're stating, because you're still liable. You're still the head coach. The head coach is going to get his head cut off for anything that happens. We've seen it twice at Ohio State.
Yeah.
But it does matter because he's constantly acted dumb. And he's constantly acted, I don't know. That just makes him more of a liar, which makes the NCAA more pissed off, which makes the sanctions that come out worse. At least by theory, it should. And I'm not buying this whole rhetoric from them. Oh, the NCAA has no power. They absolutely do. And I will say this again and again. The BCS wasn't tied in with the NCAA either, and USC still lost the national championship. The CFP, same thing. That will get that if justice is served correctly, that will get stripped. Every win from 21 to 23 gone, and that has to be part of the bare minimum here. And I think 3 to 4 year postseason ban is absolutely fair. I think scholarship reduction, and honestly, the NCAA, along with fixing it the way NIL is done anyway, they need to start finding ways to sanction that too, because that's going to be the real thing that nails you as a program if you're doing bad things. You're the NCAA, you want to reestablish your dominance as the power of college football. This is your prime opportunity to set the example. You did it with Ohio State over tattoos.
Well, hey, you know what?
Actually serious.
You guys, this has been great, but I have about 45 text messages I need to delete. So they're not anything bad. I just want to get them off my phone.
Right.
Yeah.
And boy, that guy's got a show cause coming his way.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Tony Alford's going to end up having to coach the team because Sharon Moore's probably not going to survive.
Yeah, at least he wasn't there, during all this.
Yeah, somebody's going to take over. And this Bryce Underwood, he's going to have to decide real quick if he wants, because they're going to give players the opportunity to leave.
The thing about transferring out now, the transfer portal, you can do it any year. So hang in there for a year, buddy, and then we'll see what happens.
But boy, if the NCAA does, let's say devil's advocate, if they end up going the other way with this and barely punishing them, they might as well fold up because this
is the last straw. For sure. So, I mean, you have no authority if you can't do anything for a cheating scandal worse than any in college football ever.
Yeah, they have a real opportunity here to.
Well, that's the thing too. Like you said, the reason why they have no teeth, as people say, it's only because there were court cases for payment of players. You don't want a lawsuit from Congress, right? You don't want a federal judge telling you, hey, you're going to have to back pay everyone because you're not doing it now.
Yeah.
And even that's already kind of happening.
Yeah.
You have to obey the rules of the law of the land. You have to obey the court ruling. So they have no justification for anything. I'm staying out of anything that has anything to do with payment. That's what the NCAA is saying. But if you're cheating, they're still going to govern you. They still have that authority, and they're not worried about governing you for anything other than payment to players.
And let's play devil's advocate again with this whole Weiss thing. Let's say he didn't hack any practice footage that has nothing to do with football. To say that it isn't still connected to everything going on within that program right now is still because it's just another piece of the puzzle, whether it's directly connected to the Connor Stallions situation or not. There's a whole big bad looking puzzle here that pieces are being discussed. And
guess who was still there when that was happening? Sharon Moore.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we're far from done on this too. I think
it's going to be a while. I said it's going to happen quick, but nothing's happening quick.
Yeah.
It's going to be another year or two before we find out really what's happening.
Yeah.
Probably around this time next year, to be honest with you.
I hope it's not. I hope it's by the end of this year. But we'll see.
With all the appeals that they're doing, I haven't added up all the time.
Humbled. They need humbled so badly. And this is when these sanctions come out the way that they should. Boy, you're going to hear a lot of crickets on Twitter and everywhere else. They're going to be like, "Oh."
I think that at the end of the day, though, Ryan, they need to beat Michigan, dude. Like, that you know what I mean? Like, because as long as.
And they need to beat them before any sanctions come, too. Like this year, got to get it done.
He really screwed up when this whole thing came out and they fired Connor Stallions and they suspended Jim Harbaugh and he lost to Sharon Moore. I was like, dude, what the? It's.
But
you know what? We have the national title, so
that's true.
I can't
complain.
Notice how the scores got a lot closer in 2024.
Well, yeah, I'm not debating that, but he could have there was a cloud of uncertainty. Like, well, Ohio State had C.J. Stroud, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I mean, C.J. Stroud's probably the best Ohio State quarterback in history. They can't beat Michigan. This is weird. So you had people that were on the outside that weren't associated. Your average college football fan that are like, maybe Michigan cheating was really bad. Maybe it really affected Ohio State. And then they still went. They fired everybody.
Yeah.
And
it
they
made
still
it
went out
look
there.
worse.
They went out there and they lost. So then those average college football fans that are just kind of casually watching, they're like, oh, well, never mind. This is not that big of a deal. Because that happened. That did happen. You saw it on X.
It did. You're right.
Well, here's the problem, though. The fact that the cheating happened in 21 and 22, that was enough to sprinkle the seeds of doubt into Day's head enough to where he choked away 23 and 24.
To build confidence in your program too. Like football's all about momentum. And any sport is about momentum. You build that momentum, and it carries you a little bit.
Those two in games in 21 and 22 just really got in his head so much that it just seemed to not matter that all came out. He was just saw that team and was like, let me overthink everything.
Well, and
I think this year's loss actually will help Day in the long run, because he realized that I cannot be that guy that's like 17 years in a row, the team that wins in rushing is winning the game. I cannot just go straight at it like that. Like, there's other ways to get those rushing yards. Yeah. You open up the run with the pass. And that's the type of team he has, and that's what he's going to have to do from now on. Yeah. He did it in the playoffs. He did it against Tennessee.
So far, that's helped.
Yeah.
So,
and you still can have the rushing yards.
Hopefully, there is momentum and confidence built from this national championship run, because I know that
there is.
We've all spoken to people that are in that locker room and are around that program during Michigan week, and he is different. He's different.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's tight. It's not right. He starts to put his fingers in things he wasn't putting his fingers in before. The players noticed it. Everybody noticed it, and that's just what happened. He lost to Michigan, and then he lost again. I think the first loss, he was like, all right, whatever. Then he lost again, and he was like, that's when things started to reach an extra level. So hopefully this national championship run kind of propels him to beat Michigan next year. But I mean, it is an issue to act like the national championship wipes it away. I don't think that's 100% true either.
It does. Because if you lose that game in Ann Arbor, we're right back to like, dude, what the hell?
If you win a national title again, it doesn't matter again.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But it does matter in the sense where it's like everything is always slightly tainted. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It is. Slightly, very, very slightly though. I mean, titles are what matter. This has changed to an NFL model, and it's hard because we weren't brought up in it. Like, we're those old guys now. 10 years from now, the young guys aren't going to care. They're not going to even care about the Michigan game. I mean, yes, it's still a rivalry, but it's just not going to be the same as what we were brought up with. It's just never going to be.
Let that happen.
I agree with that.
Ryan Day can't let that happen.
I don't want him to. I mean, you still got to make it a big deal. It's still got to be a big deal, but it's just not ever going to be what it was. It's that those days are gone. We are in an NFL model now where you got to win the 17 games to win a national title.
I feel like that.
No one's going undefeated anymore. Those days are gone. The perfect team, the teams that grow and get better at the end of the year and learn from just hard, tough mistakes that they've made, are going to be the ones that win the titles.
Well, I don't think, but there's a difference between losing. Like, I don't think anybody was calling for his head after they lost to Oregon, right? We all went to our respective podcasts and were complaining about the loss, but no one said Ryan Day needs to be fired because Oregon's a good team.
Because we knew.
Correct. Yeah,
Oregon's a good team. Even if they would have lost by multiple touchdowns, we'd be like, well, Oregon's a really good team. Hopefully, they can figure it out before they meet them again. Michigan was bad. Michigan was really bad. They had a new defensive
8-5 bad.
They were bad. They were really bad. They had a walk-on quarterback. They had all new coaches. They were bad. Ohio State was playing at home. it was just the only reason that they lost was because of Ryan Day. So it just sticks out in your brain like, dude, what is going on? That I think that's now if Ohio State, if they play Michigan, it's one versus, if they're ranked 1 versus ranked 2 and they lose, and then Ohio State has another miraculous. Totally. It's a totally different story because that's a good team. But this you could pinpoint, like, it's like Ryan Day, what are you doing? It also makes you think, God, too bad John Cooper didn't have the 12-team playoff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
if
John this was the perfect time for that to happen for Ohio State. Yeah.
I don't know if John Cooper even wins a playoff if it's 12 teams.
Because he wasn't winning bowl games very often either. It was just the big games. Yeah.
But that's
that team, but losing the big games.
Is that fair? But remember, though, you're right. But I think that the argument there is that, like, it's hard at that time. It was when you lost to Michigan, the season was over. They were playing in like the Holiday Bowl and the Citrus Bowl. It was kind of like when Florida State got rampaged after they didn't make the playoffs. It's like it's hard to get motivated. So if they did have the opportunity to go, because I honestly think if Ohio State, if this was 2 years ago and Ohio State loses to Michigan and then they have to go play Alabama in the Outback Bowl or whatever. I mean, we saw it when they lost to Missouri. Ohio State was way better than Missouri, but the season was over. They were depressed. Yeah. They wanted to go home for this. I mean, they were just done. They were done. So I think that's the argument that could be made for Cooper.
Even the coaching staff was just done at that point.
Dude,
heard about that Missouri game.
Yeah,
that was multiple fronts.
If they could have not gone, I think if they would have
just say, we're good.
The whole staff opted out.
Yeah, I think that they would have. But that's the case for John Cooper. It's like, well, when you're back then, the season was over, 100% over. You lose to Michigan, you're out.
Yeah, it's hard. But at least now Ryan can never be fully mentioned in the same air as Cooper again because he's got it
exactly. Yep.
So he was like right here neck and neck with him after that team up north game. But now like, okay, he's still got that bad record. He can rectify it, hopefully.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see things turn around. I got to end on something positive because I absolutely think he got that off of his back and he is ready. He is relaxed. He's not going to play tight anymore. He's got this program humming. He lost a bunch of coaches. There was all that negativity there. Overcome that, obviously, right now with Tyler Bowen, and we're going to see what Matt Patricia does. Everything I'm seeing, everything I'm hearing from him, he's humble, he's eager, he's willing to learn, he's also willing to teach and be a motivator, and he's connecting well with the recruits so far. So everything's going good as a Buckeye. We won the national title. Let's spin this into some success next year too, and beat those team up north cheaters. And let's all get off here and delete some text messages and feel better about ourselves.
I'll say one more thing.
Okay.
Unlike programs who claim they're elite after they win a national title and go 8-5 the following year, Ohio State will go no lower than 10-2 next year, and they'll be right back in the playoff because they are a true elite program.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
absolutely.
That's a fact. Yeah, for sure.
I concur. I'm all over the support of that statement. The floor is 2 losses.
Yeah.
Unless it just goes really bad and you get 3, but I think that won't happen. So
I would say in the expanded playoffs, a game like Texas, that means I'm already chalked that up to a loss, and I don't even really care. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, I mean, Julian Sands' first start, new offensive coordinator.
The odds are against us, but
but it's not the end of the season. Even if they lose 21-0, it's you just whatever.
You lose to Penn State for the first time in 100 years. That's not. But if the team up north,
go out on a limb and say if Ohio State plays Texas at noon, they lose. If they play them at night, they win.
Dude, they're going to play them at noon, bro.
I know they are, and everything about that is like the best thing I saw was the puke emoji after that. Just ugh.
Well, the most depressing part is that when they play in Texas, they're going to play. It's going to be prime time. When they play down there,
absolutely,
it's going to be prime time.
Give everyone else the advantage, but Ohio State doesn't get it.
You can take that loser that's with the Bears now, the guy who shall not be named for that.
Yeah.
If really. Thanks, Gene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing we do got to thank is Roch Bajork for sticking with Day, making that tough choice despite all the criticism from us fans and us media. Man, what foreshadowing there. They had the right thing to do was, we're all behind him. We love the program he's getting.
It happens for Diebler.
Yeah. He's sticking with them now, so we'll see what happens. All right, boys. It has been a pleasure. Like I said twice already, go delete some text messages.
Oh, I will.
Get that Nefaria stuff off your phone, but say that there's no reason for deleting it.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Go to some games while I'm here in Pittsburgh. There's no college football, but I'm sure it'll help with the sign stealing. So I'm gonna go do that.
Absolutely. God bless you all, Buckeye backers. Thanks for joining us. Thank you both for joining it kind of the last second, put together a show because there was so much news and I didn't want to do it tomorrow on a Thursday during the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
God bless. Have a good evening.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.